A lot of people don't know this about me, but I teach kids jujitsu. So the 4 to up to like 7-year olds. And it's a blast. It's freaking madness. There's like 10 kids in there, and you could go in there and place bets and have a good time because these kids are whipping the crap out of each other. And it's just a blast. We obviously take care of them. We make sure that they don't hurt each other, but they often do, right? They often are jamming fingers and getting slammed on the floor and just all sorts of stuff. But there's a couple of lessons that I've learned from teaching kids jujitsu that I wanted to share with all the great people on LinkedIn. All of you guys are obviously like business folks and you're looking to expand your networks and become sharper at your craft and ultimately expand your network. And I think that kids jujitsu or the lessons that I've taken from it will help. There's a kid that just started, him and his twin brother come. His twin brother came first. He was the more physical and outgoing one. And the second kid came and he might have like slight autism. His parents haven't like really confirmed any of that with us. It's none of our business, but you can kind of tell he's really sensory sensitive and just like tends to melt, right? That's what we say. You're like ice cream. You melt down when somebody is trying to like beat you up. And so it was actually last week. I was coaching him. I was really hands on. I was trying to tell him everything to do, like put your hand here, do this. And the black belt, Sergio, my coach, right? And the coach of the kids who coaches it with me, he just put his hand on my shoulder and kind of whispered in my ear and he said, "Coach less, coach less." Right? And the way that we do our training is you play a game, you create a task where you got to like hold the other person's leg for as long as you can, and the other person has to try to escape. You're not trying to get them to like, choke each other. You're just trying to get them to win the game, or like hold the mount position for as long as possible, or put your training partner's hands on the floor and keep them there, right? So we give them these tasks and then we have them go about it. And he said that if you coach them on the specifics of what you have to do in those scenarios, that they will be less creative in their solution process. So if you just tell them, they're not gonna like really learn anything. They might learn that specific movement for that specific scenario with that specific person that they're rolling with, but ultimately, like the next time that they even roll with that person, the scenario is going to be completely different. So don't do that. Don't tell them what to grab. Don't tell them what to move. Don't do any of that stuff. And fast forward to yesterday, and this kid who was having a lot of trouble and he was, not engaging and he was crying and having a really hard time. He None of that happened. It was a complete 180 change. It was so amazing to see this kid, this little 7-year-old little boy who kind of rose up to the task when we coached him less. Obviously, beforehand, we coach him on the basics and how to hold the leg or whatever it is, the activity that we're working on. But then once you set them to the task, once you set them to the game, you just let go. The next thing that I learned is you can't let their parents coach from the sidelines. And this actually happened when I first got my son into jujitsu. He'd be doing his thing and I'd be kind of like cheering him on or like encouraging him from the seat. And again, the black belt comes over to me and he says, "Hey, if you want to coach, you need to put your gi on and get on the mat and don't say anything. Don't say anything to the kids. You need to be silent." And I took that to heart and I put my gi on and I went with the kids and I haven't looked back because I've enjoyed the heck out of it. But what happens when you're coaching from the outside, first of all, like most of the parents there don't know whatever they're talking about, they don't know. And the kid has a tendency to just like feel like he's doing the wrong thing and then he starts to give up. And so parents teaching from the sidelines is actually really bad for the flow of the class because they start to like cry and get like weak and not believe in themselves. And it exposes you to the intricate relationships that people have in their own homes, right? Like we don't know how this parents, we don't know the social dynamics of their family, we don't know what makes this kid tick. And so um, if we can just remove them from the scenario, sometimes literally I'll stand in front of them. If they're real close to them on the side of the mat, I'll stand in front of them and just sit there. And I'll be like, "It's just you and me. It's just you and me." And the parents typically understand, and we tell them as well the same thing that my coach told me, like, put a gi on and get on the mat if you want to coach. The final thing is to never underestimate the power that encouragement has in the people that you're working with and that you manage and that you interact with on a daily basis. If you are impressed by something, this is a reminder just to express it. These kids get their butts kicked, they kick some butt, they're crying, they're hot, they're flustered, they got a gi on, they're all disheveled at the end of class. And we put our hands on their back, we give them high fives, and we tell them you did a great job today. Because typically they did do a great job, and everybody is trying their best. And a little bit of acknowledgement goes a long way. We have started to see a lot of the kids accelerate in their ability, and I think it's simply due to giving them positive feedback and also like talking to their parents, talking to other people about how good they're doing is massively helpful. So I hope this video was valuable for the people on LinkedIn, and I hope you crush it today and you are doing a good job.